Can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation slides, everyone? Yes?
Yes, sir.
So thank you and welcome to this second day program. So yesterday we were doing the very important basics. These basics were we were learning about the Python syntax, the prelude to the Python syntax, the Python dictionary, how the programs were made, for example, in C or C++ or probably Java, okay, and how those particular reinstantiation of codes proved very important, okay, because in case of C and C++ program, there could be a heavy loaded memory and all those kind of things. And we also learned, how to give comments. So usually comments are given with hash symbol, okay, and how to define the variables, some kind of a variable classes we have learned. Also learned very basics of indentation. Indentation is nothing but how we give some kind of space. That kind of aspect we'll give with more useful commands today. Okay. And then we also learned about the declaration statements, how to declare, how to define the entities, for example, with respect to data types. Okay. We also learned about numbers and as well as casting. Casting in the sense maybe you define say x is equal to say float of 5.5. Okay. Now say if you want to print x, you will get of course 5.5. But so for example, if you give x is equivalent to say integer of say 4.3, then you will get only 4 because 4.3 is float or decimal, so that thing you will not probably get it. Okay, and I think you might all have done the exercises. I can see a lot of smiling faces there from my answers, from my questions, and that's where this reinstantiation of the codes now are very, very important. Okay. There is also a very important aspect called as data types. For example, we only learned about the data types with respect to defining a variable class, say x, okay, with either say string like this, which is say hello world, with an integer, okay, with a decimal, which is what we call as a float. But we can also define several other things, including the Boolean expressions, okay, like the bool is usually true or false or and or not, okay. We can also define the complex data types like 1j because 1 is a number and j is a string. We can also list or we can usually have tuples or ranges like this, which we'll probably learn in great detail. Okay, why all these kind of things are needed, we'll probably discuss, in the future next. Okay, so now let me open the screen. 1 minute. Able to, yes. Okay. Now can you all see my screen, please? Yeah. All of you, could you all see the screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is about the Ubuntu thing. So now we'll go for the more classical examples. I'm giving an example called example 5, okay, and I'm creating a Python dictionary. Okay, so here I can probably give x equivalent to 5, which we learned yesterday. Okay, but you need not define variables with such small numbers, but you can also say that my var, okay, is equivalent to, okay, 4. Okay, or you can even say my underscore var is equivalent to say Prash. Okay. And then you can also say my var class, okay, say is equivalent to say Prash. Even you can say my var, okay, underscore class say is equal to something like this. Okay. And now you can give say print whatever you want. Okay, so you want to define what, so you want to give a print something like this. Okay, so here to add this you can give something called okay, my name is okay, say this thing. Okay, and then I can save it. And now you always see what program you have given. Okay, you can cat it, you can see what you have defined. So x is equivalent to 5. You can also have different types of variable classes like my var, okay, my underscore var, my underscore var underscore class, which means you have defined you see in different capitals and different these things when you have defined. Okay. Here you have defined the same thing, okay, with respect to different variables as well. Okay, this can also you can probably do this. But if you think that you are this is a bit confusing, okay, you can also give in different what do you call um, capitals as well. You can also give in capitals as well. That is a kind of a concept. Okay, so simply run Python 3 example 5. Okay, sorry, 1 minute. Yeah, integer 4. Okay. Did I give a class here somewhere? Yeah. I can give a class here. I can also make it as a comment. Okay. Okay. Something like this. 1 minute. Someone is joining. Okay. My way is not working. 1 minute. Okay. But first, let's go for x. Okay. For example, something like Python 3. If I give print so and so, I'll get this thing as Prash. Okay. So likewise, I can also give some kind of variable classes like this. Okay. So for example, think. Okay. My name is okay, something like this. Okay. And then when I do this, now I'll probably get it something like this. Okay. So these classes or these particular variables, are always to be defined in a pragmatic way. Otherwise, you'll probably be lost with this. Okay. Let me give another classical example here. Okay. I'm just creating another example. Say here, x is equal to 5. Okay. So y is equal to say -1. Okay. Now, now you can probably start with your own statements. Okay, what to define what. Okay, so you can use if statement. So there's always an indentation. Indentation is nothing but space that needs to be provided. Okay, that space needs to be provided at any point of time. Okay, so for example, if x okay is say greater than equals say 5. Or say if x is greater than equal to say y. Okay, the print say x is greater than say y. Okay, and then else. So if you give else, always you should give this space. Okay, this is what we call it as indentation. Okay, the print x is not greater than say y. Someone is still joining. Yeah. So this is how you can probably define this. But in order to give this, you need to give something called a colon here. Okay, this statement is very, very important for both if and as well as else. Otherwise, your program will not work. Okay. So these if else statements are always supported by these indentation. Okay. 1 minute. I'm sorry, not here. Okay. Yeah. So this kind of statement can be taken up in such a way that you can probably define another variable as well. Okay. Say you can say that z is equivalent to say -3. Okay, and then you can even say a statement. First, let me start this. Sorry, I'm being interrupted. There are some more joining now. One minute, I'll define x. Okay, this is not coming. 1 minute. I'm not able to save it. Replace. Yeah. Yeah, hello. Yeah. I'm sorry, 1 minute. I just can I just talk to you later, please? Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yes. No, the course and the workshop is one and the same. In fact, for video, it's like this that we may have to freeze the registrations. We already received about 63 registrations already. In fact, we had to cut short actually. Yeah, please. I'll probably talk to you later. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry for this. 1 minute. I'm just sending one message. Yeah, I'm sorry for this. So, so so here you can probably start with this. Say if x is equal to greater than say equal to 5 or something like this. Okay, and then you can probably say print x is greater than y or something like this. Okay, and then Python. Okay. Something like this. But in principle, if I don't give a space here, okay, space, and I'm removing it here, and I save it, your program in principle will not run. This is what we call it as an indentation statement. Okay, so in an indentation statement, you have to press one space or two space or three space. That is your prerogative. But for an Avid programmer, you can press type the tab space here. Okay, The same applies for the else statement here. Here also, you can press tab, okay, and then you can probably get it. So you can give as many spaces you want. Even a space like one space would also work here. Okay, that doesn't matter. Apart from the indentation statement that everyone would really learn from these particular programs, there is another indentation as well. Okay? Say, for example, you can give, okay, this thing as a statement. Okay? Now you run the program. Okay? Which means what I have given here is, by the way, can you all see the screen? I'm sorry. Yeah. Hello. Can you all see the screen? I'm sorry. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, so this is how you can probably look into those kind of things. So this indentation can be probably one space or two space. Even if there is an if statement, you can also avoid the else statement as well. Okay, that's your call if you want to do this. Okay, and likewise you can also have uh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm getting another call. Good evening, sir. Yeah. Yeah. లేదు సార్ అది అవ్వలేదు యాక్చువల్లీ అది no, that's one of the reasons I told them, sir. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I got it, sir. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really sorry for this. Um, so you can, whatever trying to say is if statements can also be several as well. Okay, like this. So you need not give only if else or only one if, something like this. Okay, so you can also give something like if x is less than say z. Okay, then you give another indent which is a space and say to that. Okay, say x is less than z. Okay, something like this. Sorry, less than z. So these things also, you can also give, for these, for these programs. Okay. Only thing is you need to give colon and an indentation. Indentation is nothing but a space. It can be one space, two space, three space, or four space. But when you give a tab space like this, it will be four spaces. Okay. So usually you can give tab spaces, which will give you, that kind of, result. Okay. So this is about a quick, indentation where you can say that you can get different results. Okay, as you could see, I've used if, and else. I've written it as a certain comment statement. Okay. And since x is less than, not less than probably 0, okay, it has not printed, x is less than, z. Okay? It has only printed x is greater than y. So this is how, you can probably define, different types of variables using if and else. Now, in indentation, you might also want to ask a question. Okay, suppose if I don't give else statement, how does the program recognize? Like for example, if you are giving a variable class of x, you are giving a variable class of y, you are giving a variable class of z. Okay, then what is your prerogative? Can we have multiple variable classes? So which means here, let's imagine I'm giving something called capital Z, okay, is equivalent to say 2.5. Okay. Now I give say something like if x is say greater than capital Z, okay, something like this. Now I run the particular program. Now you see, let me first share the script. Okay, so I give like this: x is equal to 5, small y is equal to -1, small z is equal to -3, z is equal to 2.5. Okay, which is absolutely float. So now I say if x greater than y, colon, print x is greater than y. But if x greater than z, which is a capital letter, okay, so print x is less than z. So when I give this, you see, I get both the statements printed like this. Okay, so these statements can also be given with a what do you call it, a new line. Okay, something like new line. You can also give probably a tab space. Okay. Here also you can give a new line, okay, in between whatever you want. Silence. So moving forward, the most important aspect with variable classes or variable functions is something defining functions at a different level. That is what we call it as a globalization. So in Python dictionary, okay, it is actually a very very simple. Okay, I'll probably give you some kind of examples. What is globalization and how to probably take the globalization to different levels. So first, in the meantime, I'll just give you 2 minutes. Can you quickly run these particular if-else statements using indentation? If you are able to type spaces, even one space is also fine and two spaces is also fine. Can you quickly do this? I'll quickly give you 2 minutes of time. The time is 5:22 in my what do you call in my clock. I'll give you time until 5:24. Okay, please. Yeah, just quickly run with if-else statements and the indentation. Okay. Yeah. Others who have had problems with Windows, could you all install Python in Windows? Yes. Yes, please. Yeah. Could you all do that? Yeah. Yes, please. Hello. Yeah. Am I audible? Hello, everyone.
You're audible, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. My voice is on. Yeah. 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 So could you please quickly do this for the next 1.5 minutes? I'll give you time and then we'll go for the next step. Yeah. What I was saying is those Windows users, could you run the Python dictionary using Windows, everyone? Okay, I assume that you have done it. Yeah. Can we move to the next step if you think that you have done it, or you want to know 1 or 2 more minutes? Yes, please. Yeah. Okay. So assuming that you have done this, okay, I'll probably now go for something very important called defining functions. Okay, what is these particular functions? And I'll probably tell you now. Okay. So let's assume you are defining a new program now. Say example 7.py. Okay. So for example, you are giving x is equivalent to say Pythonizer, something like this. Okay, I'm a Pythonizer or a Python learner or whatever. Okay. You can always define functions. Defining functions is very, very important. Okay. Defining functions can be starting with something called def. Okay. So you can say that my function. Okay, what is that you want to define? That is very, very important. And again, indentation can be given. I'm sorry, I'm getting some admissions. Yeah. Okay. So you can probably say that you have defined my function something like this. And when you give like this, you are defining what? You are defining some kind of function. What is that particular function? You'll probably say this. Okay. So you see, globalization in globalization, you see you have probably defined x is equal to Pythonizer before a function is defined here. Okay. But now let's say assume that I'm defining, okay, x again. Okay. So saying that it is 5. Okay. So let's assume if I want to define, say, what is x now. Okay. Let's say print x, something like this. And then you can close your particular functional entities, with my function again. Okay, which means you're closing my function like this. Okay. So these methods are very, very important in defining any class of variable functions at any given point of time. And this function can be anything. Okay, this function could be a DNA function, it can be an RNA function, it can be a protein function, or whatever. Okay. What is that particular function? I'll tell you at a later point of time. Okay. But as of now, when you define a function here, the most important thing is you have defined x in such a way that x is equivalent to Pythonizer, and the same x, which is small x as a variable, it is also a kind of an integer here. Okay. Then how does your global calls for the function can be retrieved using Python dictionary? Okay. This is a very, very important aspect when you probably look into this. Okay. So I probably save the program, but first double check the program. What you have done is I've defined x as Pythonizer, okay, but I've defined a kind of a function called my function, okay, where I've given an indentation where x is equal to 5, which means x is equal to Pythonizer, but x is also equivalent to 5, okay. Now I want to print what is x. Okay. And the most important thing here is when you do these particular functions, okay, you see you have closed this particular x, right? You see, I've run Python 3 example 7.py, okay, but I've defined Pythonizer, okay, just outside the global call, and that is one of the reasons why within the function my x is not really called here. Okay. Now what if, okay, now you see I don't define this. Okay. Probably I call this as this. Okay, I'm giving a statement here, a kind of a what do you call yeah, a statement, a kind of a comment. Okay. Now, what will the program do? Even now, the program, doesn't make anything. So what you need to understand here is, if you want to define function, which is my function, that my function, should always be defined, within. Okay. This is what we call it as a globalization. Okay. Now let's define this particular functions like this. Suppose you don't give this. Okay. There is an error. Okay. But you need to have an always a kind of a function that needs to be retrieved. Okay. You always need to retrieve this particular function. Sorry, not here. Here also. Okay. So the most important thing in Python dictionary is also making the things work. So in order to ensure that such particular my functions work, or defining your particular variable classes work, you also need to set up what is this particular global class as well. So for example, if I take this statement, okay, and now I ask the program to print x. See, it says x is not defined because we have defined this particular variable class. Okay. See, x within this is not defined. Okay. So even now, if I don't give this particular command, now I'll get as Pythonized because x is already defined outside the class. We understand the difference between a globalization and a localization here. Everyone? Yeah. You see, what I've done here is, in the earlier case, I just gave it as a kind of a comment. Okay, x, although I've defined it as Pythonizer, I've given simply as a hash, which means it is a comment now. But when I define a class called my function, okay, with an indentation x is equal to 5, and close that particular my function with this my function, okay, because your function that is defined is again closed here. This is an end statement. Now, when I give print x, okay, nothing pops up. Okay, that's because this particular function is defined within. Okay. Now let's assume you do this particular program like this. Okay, you give this comment like this, and now you give say print. It will still give you that kind of an error. So that is the reason why globalization is very, very important in order to print your exact definitions here. So the most important stuff here is, if you can give x is equal to 5, can I have multiple variables like this? Okay, say for example 7.5. So z is equal to say class. Now can I give say print x, say comma y, comma z, if that is printed, okay, that will also be taken up. If this is not defined as a variable class, then it will not be printed at all. Okay. So obviously you will get a kind of an error. So that is the reason why you need to define these particular x, y, z as a globalization, as an outside the definitive functions. Okay. These are all very, very important aspects in globalization. Okay. And another important thing in Python is, let's assume you are giving say 5. Okay. So y is equivalent to, say you are giving like this. So this is what we call it as listing actually. Okay. So in a listing, you are giving, DNA, okay, RNA, and protein, okay. But these particular listing, can be different types as well. You have to understand that a DNA as a list, RNA as a list, and a protein as a list might be different. Okay. So for this, if I ask the program to print, say, X and Y, okay. Sorry, 1 minute, someone is joining. Yeah. Okay. And then I run the program. I get all those particular, hits. So what I give is X is equal to 5. Okay. Y is equivalent to 3 important things. And you can also set up these particular programs in such a way that you can add. Okay. Saying that there are 3 biomolecules. Okay. Say namely, okay. You can say what is that? Sorry, 3 biomolecules. What is that? You can start with a new function, something like this. And then you can say that you can even select Y here, or you can also say that print Y. But in listing, you have to understand that, say for example, I define a class Z, okay, in a normal brackets, okay, say miRNAs, become a long non-coding RNAs. Say I gave something called pDRNAs. These are all something like this. I'm giving in a normal brackets, you see. Okay, it's a not square brackets. Okay, so now you see print. Okay, there are 3 classes of non-coding RNAs. Okay. Now if I give print Z, okay, now you see all the classes are again defined irrespective of what are those. Okay, I've given example 8, right? Yeah. I've given print X, print Y, and print Z to std out. Okay, so Z is equivalent to all the 3. So this is what we call it as listing, and this is what we call it as tupling. Okay, so it means I give a comment here. This is called as listing, and this is called as tupling. Okay. This is very important ways to add in a lists and tuples. Okay. Likewise, sometimes you may have to give integers and other things as well. So for example here I give A is equivalent to, okay, say 1Z, something like this. Okay, if you want to print, okay, so type, what is that particular type A class. Okay, you can always print what is that particular type A class. Yes. Okay, this is what you have given. A minute. This is I can do like this as well. Okay, first let me give the variables. Then say I give A equivalent to, sorry, I didn't close the bracket, integer. Say A is equivalent to, so I can even give A like this, something like this. I can define the variables like this, and then I can print, what is type A. Okay? So here, let me type the command what we have typed. See, I've given x is equivalent to 5, y is equal to, I've given a listing, z is equivalent to, say, tupling. Okay. So if you want to know that thing as well, you can also check from here. What is those variable classes? Say type of x, say type of y, and print type, say z. Now when you run the program, okay, you see, you got, this is a program that you have given. So it will tell me that the first one is the class integer. A is class integer, you see. A is integer. Okay, although you have given it as a float here, it could recognize that it is integer. And what is print type y? Okay, so y is a list. Okay? And z is nothing but tuple. So you see it's called tuple. So this is where you can probably define different aspects as well. So for example, you can also modify your scripts. Okay. Say I gave -2 here. Okay. And in float, okay, I give -3 simple. Let's say. Okay. So the most important thing here you see, I didn't ask what is to be printed, right? I only asked what is to be, typed. So I can always give print x, y, and z. Okay, I can also give print a. Sorry, I don't know. I didn't press insert. I'm sorry, it's x here. So print, say a. It will say print b. Print, say capital A. Okay. Let me first type the command. Okay, this is what we have given. And this is what we get. Okay, so you see got -2, -3.0, and again -2, which is print here, because we have given capital A, which is another definitive variable that is given to say A. Okay, so this is where you can probably set it up. And please be advised that these kind of modifying the classes can also be given in such a way that it is like this. For this, you will get some errors. That the reason why. So this is what I've given. Okay, I've given what you call a plus b. A is equal to a plus b, which means a, which is integer, and b is what you call float -3. So which means -2 plus -3. Okay, so which is -1. Okay. Please understand that you can also give these particular things for various other things as well. Like for example, you can even say a into b. Okay, and even you can give a multiple class as well, like b is equal to, okay, say a plus say x, something like this. Okay, also you can set it. So this is a very important aspects of printing different classes, different types, and different variables that are there in question. I share you with you all these kind of scripts. I think recording is done, but I only asked not to upload into the YouTube page right away. Okay, because unless you practice these particular commands all by yourselves, you'll not be able to do this. Okay, I can share you these particular scripts if you want, in our WhatsApp group, so that you can download them and you can run it. But you have to make a promise that you have to type. You cannot simply copy paste it. Okay, the whole purpose of this particular workshop will be defeated if you simply copy paste it, or if you probably use IDEs. Okay, you will only learn by only typing these particular scripts. Okay, you see, I made a long script like this, some 10-12 lines. Okay, all by myself. Okay? This you have to learn all by yourselves. Okay, I'll give you probably 3 minutes. Will you please run this particular script, run this particular exercise in yourselves? Okay. Any questions? Any questions, dear friends? Yeah. Class, any questions?
Sir, the
No, sir.
Pythonizer one, the function, my function. Could you explain that once more?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. I'm getting some echo. Yeah. Um, okay. See, let me start with an example again here. This is what we call it as a global class. Okay. So, for example, I define x is equal to say Pythonizer, and I want to know what is x. Although you have defined another x within this particular function, this is a localization. Okay, but globalization is you have defined already a global function called x outside your main function. Okay, so now if you want to run this particular program, okay, so this is what we have run. Okay. Now I simply run say Python 3. Okay, and this. I get a kind of an output. Okay, but now the same example. Now you define this. You don't. I mean, you give a what do you call a comment for this. You don't define this outside your global class. Okay, it means you are given hash symbol to this. Okay, you will get an error because x has not been defined. Okay, within these particular variables. Okay? So the definitive functions can only work only when you have print functions within. If this print command is within the global function, within the local function, okay, then you will probably get it. But you have defined this particular x outside. That is reason why you are not getting it. Okay? But this is only a kind of an example. You might ask, why such globalization or global indices would play a very important role. Okay. I'll give you a kind of other concrete examples which I've run. Okay. Say for example, I'm giving a kind of a function something like this. Okay. This is a very important function which I'll probably tell you. Something like this, huh? I'm defining say x is equal to say Pythonizer here. Okay, and I'm defining my function with a global class x is equal to teaser, something like this. Okay, now I'm giving say I am something like this with x, and I'm ending this. Okay, it means this is my localization here. Okay, so let me give what I've run. Okay, this is what I've given. Now I run this particular program using Python 3. Okay. So now you see, I've defined two classes of x. One as Pythonizer, One, I've localized X to something called teaser, but I've asked a print statement something like this. Okay. So then I'll get something called I am a teaser, something like this. Okay, because I've defined what is X within this particular definitive function. Okay. But let's assume I fine tune this particular thing and I again ask, say, print X. Okay, something like this. Can someone guess what would I get as an output here? I get both. It's because my X is globalized and I've asked again print X, something here, okay? Again, outside this particular definitive function, which means this definitive function, my function, is called within this, okay, within this parenthesis. This is print. But this print is outside the globalization. Okay, so this is X is equal to Pythonizer, so I'll also get Pythonizer as an output. Is this clear, Nihal and everyone? Yes, please. Is this clear, or do you want me to explain again? Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Would you please run globalization call with definitive variables by taking some examples for 3 minutes, please? Yeah. I'd be very happy to answer any questions. Yeah. Someone is joining, I think. Yeah. 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 So please run these particular commands for the next 3 minutes. I'll quickly pause. I want all of you to run these, please. Yeah. Any questions in the meantime? You can always ask. Are you all doing? Can I get yes or no, please? Yeah. Are you all doing? Yeah. I don't know why my web camera is not working. Yeah. Yeah. Please let me know. You just have another 2 quick minutes. Okay. If I'm not able to do this, please let me know. Yeah. We'll talk later, please. Huh? I'm in a meeting. So assuming that you have all done this, I'm moving to the next command. Okay. So what was the number? We're doing 7 and 8, 9. Okay. In Python, there is a very important aspect as well. Okay. So for example, I give x is equal to, sorry, I didn't type insert. Yeah. So x is equal to 5. Okay. So y equivalent to say 5j, something like this. Okay. C equivalent to say minus say 5k or something like this, or minus 5. Okay. Now you see a very important thing in typing here is this is 5j is what we call it as what we call complex prototype, complex data type. Okay. So now you run this particular command. Is my screen shared? Yeah, yeah, I think it's shared. So this is what we call it as a complex prototype. Okay. So in a complex prototype, you can give 5j, okay, which means you're defining a number followed by a kind of a string insert as well. This is called as a string insert. Okay. So you can always give these, kind of things. Okay. But what happens with what you call these kind of string inserts is, if you do this and say, for example, if you are defining a is equivalent to say x plus y, something like this, okay, and say you give print, okay, say y, okay, I mean, I'm given, sorry, yeah, print, this is print type, it is still complex, right? So now you give, say, print y, okay, so I'll probably get this as 5 plus 5. Okay. The reason why these particular dubious string data can be maintained here is because you can exemplify these particular things with a lot of mathematical equations. These particular mathematical equations can be given largely for longest common subsequence, or maybe when you do a DNA prototyping. Okay, when you give a DNA prototyping, which means you give a score. I think most of you know what is a DNA dot plot, right? So in a dot plot, you take in one x-axis, you take say one DNA sequence, a protein sequence, and in y-axis you take another sequence. Okay, then you give wherever there is a best match, you give a score of 1. Wherever there is no match, you give a score of -1. Then how do you give scoring to those particular functional calls? Okay, so these complex variables can largely be integrated, in this particular case. And this can also go with defining your functional classes as well. You can even define what are those functional classes as well, into consideration as well. In Python, there is a very important you know aspect as well. Okay, let's take an example, something like this. Okay, say x is equivalent to, say, globalization. Okay. Y is equivalent to, say, localization. Okay. Now you are printing, you want to understand what is type X. Okay. And now you say Z equivalent to, say, okay, a float of 2. Okay. Now you give print. Say type Z. Okay. We also type say print Z. Okay. Let's take an example of this. What we have done. This is what we are given. X is equal to globalization. Y is equivalent to cell localization. And print what? Okay, this is what I've given. So the most important aspect in unexpected reading on it, I've given some spacing somewhere. Yeah, here. Here also. So here also, I mean, the space is not that particular important between print and this. Okay, this is what we are given. Okay, indentation again. There's a space somewhere. You see some space somewhere. I'm sorry. Is there a space? Yes, there is a space. I think. No space. There's a space somewhere. I think that is the reason why it was giving an error. I'm sorry. I think there's a space that has come up. When there's even if you have a space, that doesn't matter here. But it shouldn't print that. Okay. There's a space somewhere that has come somewhere here. Oh, sorry, here. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't check this. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why this has come up like this. Yeah. I didn't check at the very this thing. So you see what I've typed is I know a very important aspect. What I wanted to print here is the type X. X is globalization. I know it is a string. Okay. I also wanted to print what is say type Z. Z is equal to float of 2. Okay. So what is float of 2? Float is nothing but decimal. So if this were to be printed, it should be 2.0. So that is the reason why it is printing as 2.0. Okay. Now, Python has a very intelligent way of looking into certain things. So for example, if you type print Z plus X. Okay. Remember what we have typed here. Okay. It cannot go with the float and as well as string. Okay, because it recognizes that this is a globalization, which is a string. Okay, you have asked to have a float, which is a kind of a number with globalization, which is a string. So which means obviously cannot equate Z plus X, which means one is a float and the other one is number. Okay, so this is a very intelligent algorithm. So it cannot allow you such kind of instances at all. Okay, so if you make an error, that's fine, but it will definitely tell you what is the error that you have done. Okay, that is because it says that one is float, the other one is string. But let's assume this is 4. Okay, something like this. Now what is the program that you are given. Okay, so now it can calculate. It can calculate. But remember, it is giving Z. Okay, because you have asked print Z plus X, even in what we call it as decimals, or what we call it as a float. So the most final particular data class is always honored in Python. Okay, this is 6.0. Okay. Now let's assume you don't give float here. We give integer. Okay. Get only 6. Will not get 6.0. Likewise, You give 4.5 here, say, okay. Now it is back to the float data type, okay. So this is how the Python dictionary works. Okay. There is a snake making method as well. The word Python indicates that it's a snake. There are different snake making methods you can always call as well. Okay. What is that particular snake making? I'll probably tell you. Do you want some quick time to run this particular exercise? What is available on the screen like this? Okay. You can run this. You have to type. Please don't copy paste it. Anyways, you can't, copy paste it. But if you want, I can make a screenshot so that you can copy paste it. Okay. I'll probably put it in WhatsApp. Okay. I just pasted this, so you can type what is that, okay, and you can do that. Likewise, I can also probably uh, type that example 7, which you wanted, 7 underscore, okay, 5. This also I'm keeping a screenshot. I'm not keeping a copy paste. Okay, you have to type, then only you will learn the program. Okay. Do you want quick 2 minutes to run this, please? Yeah. Or can I go ahead? Class? Class, can I go ahead, or you want this to be done?
Sir, 2 minutes, sir.
You want 2 minutes? Okay. Please take that. Yeah, I think we should without wasting time, we should probably look into these things. Okay. Um, yeah. So in Linux, what was the example number? I think 10. Uh, yeah, I think it was 10. So I'll take example 11. In Python, one of the most important aspects is, as we learned, say for example, x is equivalent to, say, integer of, say, 4.5, something like this. Okay. So y is equivalent to, say, string of, say, Prash, something like this. Okay. So Z is equivalent to, say, complex, okay, of say something like 5K, something like this. I'm just defining, some complexes like this, okay. Let's say show. Even I can give 1K or K1 or whatever. I can give anything like this. So now, if you give say print X and print Y and print Z, okay, what is that we have given? So cat example 11. So I've defined X is equal to integer, which is 4.5. Okay, please understand this. If I give integer, I should get output as 4. Okay. Even is not defined. Yeah, it is string. It's a complex string. You can give comp as well. Okay, if you want. Okay. As of now, just ignore this. We'll again. Sorry. You can get back later. Okay. This I'm removing it. Okay. Now let's assume I give here. Okay. Print say y plus y, okay, but I want to type say what is y, okay, something like this, okay. Now I know what is you have typed, okay. Y is always string, okay. Y is always string, but here let's assume I give say 4. Okay, that doesn't matter. The program doesn't matter. For the program, and it doesn't matter whether or not it is only a kind of an integer or it is a mixture of those particular strings. So you can always give 4.5 here or 4 here, as long as you define these particular things. Okay, and you see, if you are giving, okay, the Z is equivalent to, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm not able to insert here. No, Z is equivalent to, okay, a float of say, X, okay, something like this. Now I'm giving say print. See, is what I've given. Okay, so I'm running the program here. Which means, although I've defined X is equal to integer, I've given a kind of a float number 4.5 here. Okay, and I've given y is equal to string, which is 4. Okay, this is again it's a string, which means I can give some text as well here because I've defined it as a string. I'm giving print X, printing type Y, which is string here, which gives me as a result as string. Z is equal to float of X, which means I have defined a new variable called Z with a class variable X, which means whatever is X, I want to have it as a float. Okay, and then I'm giving it as something called printing Z. Okay, so this is also a kind of a very important aspect of casting. These casting based approaches play a very important role whenever you define any programs. Okay, now in Python there is also a very important aspect. So for example, you type say this is a Prash. I'm defining A. Okay, so print A. Normally I'll get what is print A. This is Prash, right? But say I want to have A, okay, of say 5. which is a string. Okay. What is this particular casting prototype for this thing? I'll tell you, don't worry. So I'm giving the print something like this. Okay. Say A is equivalent to, say, this is Prash. I need not give spaces as well. Okay. I'm printing what is A. Okay. Okay. And I'm trying to print what is, the letters, associated with that. Okay. You see, in an array, what is an array, everyone? Okay. Let me show you what is an array. In an array, so for example, this is Prash, if I type something like this. Okay. In mathematics, in an array, always it starts with an integer like this. Okay. The space is also counted. Okay. So this is an array decimal numbers. So there are 12 letters here. Okay. Now, if I ask to print, so what is that particular X from this is Prash? Okay, with 5th particular letter, then obviously this is what I've asked, print A of 5. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, which means the space is not really counted here. 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is 5. Okay. Sorry, not this. What is the program? It is VI example 12. Now, for example, if I give what is 11th, okay, so what I've given cat this, and if I ask the program to print what is 11th letter, it is okay. What do you call S? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. This is all. So this is what we call it as a non-randomization with respect to an array. You can print as many letters you want. These can be printed, with respect to printing, say, DNA bases, ATG, CTG. So for example, if you want to print, say, the start sites in an open reading frame like ATG, or the end sites of an open reading frame like TAA or TGA, then you can use this particular, Python strings, okay, with an array. Okay. These things now we will probably get into more detail as we move on. Then you might also ask me a question. I think, from the presentation that I've shown you, there are different types of data types: integer, float, string, complex, okay, tupling, listing. Okay, what do you call Boolean expressions like true or false? Okay, as I told you, right? What is a true or false? So, for example, if you give, say, example, I'm giving an example here. Say A is equal to, say, you type true. Sorry, A is equivalent to, say, true. Okay, something like this. Print of A and print of type of A. Okay. So this is what I've given, example 13.py. So now I give the program to print, 13. Let's see here. A is equal to true. What is A? That is nothing but a string here. Okay. So for example, you don't give anything here. Okay, something like this. There will always, an error checkouts whenever the program runs this. You cannot give what is it, that kind of Boolean expression, whether or not it is true or false. Okay, whether or not yes or no. Those kind of things you cannot probably detect it. And these kind of errors are simplified in such a way that, okay, you can define what is a random number as well. Okay, So for example, here, if I type like this, so that particular thing is nothing but E, because the program, what I have typed is A of 3, so 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Likewise, I can even set it up like this. Sorry. Okay. A of 2. Okay. I can also set it up, like this. The most important aspect, you can also convert this in numbers as well. So for example, you have this, say A is equal to, say, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Something like this. Instead of true, I've typed this. Okay. This is what I've typed. Most important thing is it cannot define, because A is equal to 4, 5, 6, 7. The arrays now wouldn't really work for these strings, which are numbers. So it will only work for the values. But what if you give like this? See? Okay. Let me type the command here. What was the difference that I gave? If I don't give quotations, that was considered as an integer. Okay. If I give it as a quotation, that was a string. So since it was a string, it is now able to know what are those particular values, 7 and 6, within an array. Okay. Now if I gave this, if I don't give this, okay, obviously I'll get an error. Okay. Because it is not arrayable, it is not predictable. Okay. I can give this. Okay. And the most important example in Python is also randomization. Okay. I mean, how do you know that you want to call a random number? Okay, that's a very important thing. So, for example, you want to ask a program, sorry, import function can always be used. How to import randomization, I'll probably tell you. So, for example, you want to use in a kind of a randomization number, something like this. Okay, that can be anywhere, but you cannot define it like this. The problem is with the program with sorry, why am I getting caps lock? Yeah. So the program with such particular things doesn't work with respect to randomization. You need to define a random set or randomized what you call case, so that you will get it. Okay, because there is no module. That is what it says. But the module for this particular randomized quotient here is, okay, there's something called randomize, which we need to learn. So for example, even here, so for example, sorry, I'm getting a call. I just switched it off. So for example, if you give, say, A is equivalent to, say, 3, okay? B is equivalent to 4. Okay? And if you give a random number like this, okay, and then you ask a program called 28, it doesn't show up, it doesn't predict, it doesn't know what is happening with that. Okay, there's no random module that is known here. Then how do you print random modules? Okay, so for random modules, there is a very important aspect. Okay, there is a function called randomized integers. Okay, So here, one minute, and buffer is not in difference mode. I think I need to open the window again. I'm sorry. Huh? Yeah. I'm defining an import called random function. I want to print a random function because there is no random function in Python module. Okay, but I can do this using a print function in such a way that I can set up a random age. Okay. And say, for example, you give -4, say 5, okay, something like this. And then you close it. So this is what you gave it as random function. Okay. So for example, now you run the program. One minute, I need to give some spacing. Okay, yeah, you need random age. Yeah. Yeah. There's no Python this thing. One minute. I can also give a function called random age here. One minute. But random function probably is not there in this. One minute. I think random is not found actually. That is probably one of the other reasons that it may not really work. But randomization is also very important in Python. To ensure that you run those particular programs. Apart from the randomization or integer and other things, there are also other labeled classes that you can always follow it up. Okay, so for example, you have learned certain programs like this thing, right, which we have learned, okay? Like if statement here. Let's take this particular, I'm copying this command so that I can create another indentation example. So this is 15. I'm simply copying the command, so don't worry about this if you're not a Linux user. Okay, I'm simply copying example 6 with example 15. Okay, so that I can get a class of the same thing. I need not type it. So for example, here I think this is what we were learning early in the class. Suppose in Linux, there is something called elif or else if statement. Okay, elif statement is can also be taken up, which I'll show you what is this. Okay, first let me can also randomize this with elif as well. Okay, but for elif, okay, here you see you cannot give if, and elif. okay, which means there must be else statement here first. So first we type else, okay. Let me see, let me cat it first, okay. And when you run the program, you see, now it says that x is greater than y and x is less than z. So these elif statement, you can always keep on, printing it like this. The same random, there's also other method as well here. So for example, here, instead of elif, okay, I'm giving say if, okay, say x equals y equals z, okay, something like this. Okay. 1 minute. Where's the command? Yeah. If x equals y equals z. In fact, in this thing, you have to give x equal double equivalent. Okay. In Linux, or sorry, in Python dictionary, double equivalent is that actually. Okay. Then it will work. Now, what I'm trying to tell you here is. Here, say for example, if you're giving x is equal to 5 and y is equal to -1 and z is equal to -3 and capital Z is equal to 2.5. Okay. You can also print, okay, a float of x, something like this. I can give that particular statement with a comment. Okay, I better give that particular comment because you'll not be getting confused. You see here, you are given x is equal to 5, y equals -1, z is equal to -3, capital Z is equal to 2.5. So now you know these particular statements, this particular statement, but here I want to print the float of x. Okay, here. You see, this is an integer, but I'm giving a float value that is 5.0. Okay, but the program is very intelligent. Sometimes you see, you give a program, you give something like this. Okay. Now, can someone tell me what is that if I give in double quotations? What is that particular data type? Yes. Can someone tell me what is the
String.
data type if I give in double quotations?
String, sir.
It's a string. Okay, isn't it? So now the program doesn't support that. It can identify and say that it is a string and it is an integer. Okay, so please be aware of this. The beauty with Python here is, I don't know how many of you know. Sorry, I don't know how many of you know scientific notations. Do you know what are scientific notations, all of you? Okay. I've given a scientific notation of 1e minus 4. Okay. Usually, I don't know how many of you know how to write scientific notations. Usually, I'm giving an example here. When you give 0.01, okay, it is nothing but 1%, right? Okay. Usually, 1e explanation can also be written like this. Okay. Likewise, if it is 100, okay, it can be written as e plus 0. These scientific notations can always be described, properly in Python as well. Okay, these are also very, very important, for you to describe it. So For example, I'll give you one example here. Um in the example 15 here, which you were typing. Okay. If I simply give print x, okay. Wait, example 15, right? Something like this. And I didn't give that equivalent symbol again. I can give that now. Okay. Now you see here, um, I will type if x is not equal greater than z here, right? So I can probably, this is skip now, but let's assume I give this particular command, okay, like this. First I'll type, say, like this, a print of x. I can say print type of x, print, okay. I want integer of x. Okay. I'm giving a globalization here. I'll type the command what I've given, cat. Okay. Now run the script. Okay. Because 1e minus 4 is there, which means 0.0001. Okay, 3 zeros, 1. And what if I, and then what is it I've given? Print type of x, it's float. And what is an integer here? Integer is 0. Likewise, this can also be equated like this. So if I give 1e plus 4, okay. What is the command that I gave? 1e plus 4. Is this clear, all of you? Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Would you please run these particular things during the next maybe 3-4 minutes? Yeah. I'll be very happy to take any questions if you have. Yeah. Does you want some time, 3-4 minutes? Is it fine with you? I mean, again,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, please do that. The time is 6:37 in my time, so I think until 6:41 I'll probably give you some time. No? Please do that. Yeah, hello Gautam, I'm sorry, I was in a meeting when you called me. I'll just probably call you later, please, after 20 minutes. Thank you. Any questions, please? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Praneeth, I just looked into this. Yeah, randomization can be working. Yeah, random integer. You can even take random, but maybe that particular thing is you can also use random float as well if you want. Okay, that particular function can be taken up. Unnati, I already shared those things, but you have to type. Please don't copy paste it. I'll definitely share you the scripts, whatever that I'm giving. You can run it. Simply using Python dictionary. Okay. So class, it's 6:40. Let's again wind it up. Okay. So when we type in what do you call in this, okay. So for example, you are typing, say, this is Python class. Sorry, I don't know why. Insert, say a is equal to, okay. This is, say, Python class. Okay. When you give a, you can also use length function as well. Okay. Length function is very important when you give. So, for example, okay, something like this. Usually, when you give length function in brackets, square brackets like this, okay. The problem with the length function here is, okay, this is what we have given. Okay, this is the program, and you are running what you call that particular length Python function. It doesn't recognize a particular object, when you give length function, because it thinks that it is a string. Okay, so to avoid this, you can give that length. What is that a? Something like this. Okay, length function, can always be taken up like this. Okay. Um, in in Python, there is a very important aspect. Say, for example, something like this. Okay. You might want to understand what are all these things. Okay. Example 17 or 16. Yeah, 16. Okay. So this is what I've done. A is equal to this Python class, and I'm printing A, so which means I'll be getting, say, this is Python class. When you give print A of 2:5, which means right from, let me run the program first. Okay, let's see. So right from an array 2, okay, because whenever you give square brackets, it is an array. Okay, so right from the second position, which means 0, 1, and 2, which is I. Okay, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, which means right from that particular position till the 5th character, it will print. That is denoted by colon. Okay, so this particular carry forward or tabling, can also be done. This is what we call it as tabling in Python, or carry forwarding in Python. Okay, which means you are asking the program start from say 2 till what we call it as a 5th one. Okay, which is a 5th letter. Until 5th letter, it will keep on printing. Okay. Likewise, you can also give comma here, okay? And you can always say that you only want to print this, okay? See, you got the capital T here, okay? Which is arrow of 0. This is what you ask the program to print. Arrow of 0 is the first letter. So this is about what you call, the Python, what you call tabling, using in kind of an array mode. Okay. So probably I'll give this thing as an arraying with tabling. Okay. Comment should be written in Ash. This is a Linux based. So what I'll probably do here is I have a list of all the examples that we have, right, from all these kind of things. All the 16 examples that we have given here, you have to type, okay? You cannot, copy paste it. So do you want me to send these files, or do you want me to send the screenshots, or what? Or would you want, some more time to do these exercises, and by tomorrow will you be finishing this? Please let me know. What is it you wanted? Yeah. Will you be doing the rest of the exercises by tomorrow morning? Is it fine with you?
We'll do the exercise, sir, but send the files as well, or else screenshot is also fine, sir. Then we can type.
Yeah.
The file means we might copy paste also.
Yeah. What I'll do is yeah, I'll probably, there's so many, this thing, I think I've shared some, this thing, example 16, okay, this is what I've given. All of this I think I've typed, right, but you have to learn these particular things all by yourselves, okay. Sorry, not here. I think I sent it to some other group, I'm sorry. Now did you get it? Yeah, yeah, you got it. This thing is also there. 10, I didn't do this. This is a localization example. I think 7_1 I gave, but 6 I think I didn't give this. Okay, yeah, this one I didn't give this. So that's it, from my side today. Unless otherwise you have some questions. I was just looking into the Excel sheet. Where is the link for the Excel sheet? 1 minute, I'm sorry. Yeah, here it is, I think. Are you able to see the screen now with the Excel sheet?
No, sir, it's not been shared.
No, sir.
Oh, right. Oh, I stopped sharing the screen, is it? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So here, you may ask some questions. If you pose any particular problems, I'll do this. Did you all finish the assignments? All these particular 3 questions? Okay. Can you please write this assignment here against your name? Okay. This particular thing you have to write it. Okay. So here, for example, if Malvika said she has to type only in this cell, the entire thing. Okay, the entire thing I'll be wrapping it up. Okay. Okay. So you can write it. So you have to write. How do you think reinstantiation of Python codes would make your this easy? or task is Z. Okay, that you all please do this. Okay, and for the next instant, for tomorrow's homework or for today's homework, you have to create if-else statements. Okay, with an example of math problem. Okay, create indentation with and without space. Okay. And create variables snaking. Okay, you know what is snaking, right? Snaking is nothing but my underscore var underscore class. There is a snaking, which means you are giving multiple variables using underscore. Okay, and you can create strings, float, complex. Okay, and then you have to come up with find cascades. If you know what is casting is nothing but you define what is an integer, but you std out with something what we call it as a float. Okay, that is what we call it as a casting or cascading. Okay, print tabling. Okay, and what else? What are the other examples that we have taken today? Yeah, the my functions. Okay, where is this? So create a function and define globalization and localization. These are exercises for May. This was for May 1st, right? This is for May 2nd. And the total count which I got was for exercises. Total number of people. This is only for my sake, my understanding whether or not everyone is following it or not. How many smileys have seen? 50. Okay, the 55 or 54 participants, I think. Where is this? Yeah. So okay, I'll give it as 50. Other one, this you have to type it here. Okay, in attendance sheet you have to keep answering here somewhere. Okay. Others, please write your what you call attendance. Okay, and then we'll see. Goldie and Malvika, would you please cross-check the attendance, please? Yeah. Yeah, please count the attendees, only those who are present until last moment, please. Huh? Thank you so much. Yeah. Any questions before we say goodbye? Yeah. Class, are you all enjoying Python? It's quite easy, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what is that 50 thing you gave? Total 50.
No, 50 is for my sake. I've given my this thing, my numbers. I mean, 50 of you have answered this, right?
Uh, okay, sir.
It's only for my sake, okay? I think, I assume that you have done these exercises. You have done these exercises, right, all of you?
Yes, sir.
When you have given those wonderful smiley faces, I thought, you have given it. I trust you all. That's the reason why I given 50 there. Okay. Any questions? Yeah. And yeah, this is the only slide I think today we had. Yeah, there's another slide that is not that important, but I'll share you that as well. Okay. Any questions, please? Yeah. no questions, I have another meeting at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, I just need to get my tea or something. Okay. Yeah. Let's say goodbye. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you, sir.
so much. And thank you, Goldie and Malvika, for recording. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.